Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. My name is Leon Jones, and I'm going back to the scam series. And this time I'm going to talk about student loan forgiveness. Now, when it comes to colleges, colleges have financial aid. Now, in a future video, I'll do the financial scams as well. But when it comes to paying back loans, there are programs out there that you can pay back loans. Now, loans come in subsidized and unsubsidized loans. But right now, there are scams that talk about loan forgiveness. Now, many of us don't know that because we're not informed or we just don't pay attention. Now, I understand that when it comes to college, tuition is out of sight. Now, to alleviate some of that college debt, this is very simple. Go to a community college, get an AS degree that has articulation agreements with a 4-year university. That way, when you come out of college, you have no debt. The problem is, when you borrow money, you have to pay it back. And if you go into some fields that are saturated at the bachelor's degree level, then you're going to have to go get a master's and probably a doctorate. Problem is, if some degrees don't fit within the market, you're going to end up in debt. In other words, and I'm not saying college is a scam, but it can be. Because I just believe there is a lot that goes on with the tuition, especially if you go to some of these bigger schools. But when students come out of college, depending on what college you go to, they face massive debt problems. Let me give you an example. If you go to Harvard, unless you are rich, you're going to come out with a lot of debt. And even if you go into a program that starts you off at $60,000 a year, you're going to have debt. Now, with all that aside, how are you going to pay your tuition? Generally, the poorest individuals who have a low EFC, which is estimated family contribution, they're going to get the bulk of the financial aid. Now, financial aid is split into 2 semesters. So if you get a Pell Grant of $7,400, that $7,400 is going to be split $3,700 per semester. However, that financial aid grant or Pell Grant is not going to cover all of your tuition costs. So what happens after that? You have to get student loans. And that's where the issue comes from, because a Pell Grant, you don't have to pay it back. But a student loan, you have to pay it back. And let me share my screen and let's get to it here. And as we look at it now, this is from Forbes.com. Student loan scam stole an estimated $5 billion from Americans this year. $5 billion. So what I'm telling you, there are scams out there for student loans. Now, Americans have lost billions of dollars to student loan scammers this year as the Biden administration works to provide student debt forgiveness to tens of millions of borrowers. Scammers capitalized on the buzz and confusion around loan forgiveness this past fall, convincing many people to part with their money and personal information. Scammers watched the news, said Giulia Porter, who's the vice president at the call and text blocking app RoboKiller. They're following trends and they are designing more believable scams. Now, what's happening? They're probably getting information about scams through calls, emails, and text messages. Why? Because their information is out there. Now, scammers have stolen $5 billion from Americans in student loan related scams. This year, according to RoboKiller's estimates, the company uses Federal Trade Commission data on reported financial losses as well as its own data on scam types and call volumes to come up with its estimates. Now, in 2021, the FTC received 2.8 million fraud reports, a quarter of which also reported financial losses that added up to 5.9 billion in total reported losses for that year. Now, this doesn't include monetary losses as a result of identity theft. So far this year, RoboKiller, and if you don't know what RoboKiller is, that's the app that's supposed to block robocalls or spam calls. So basically, RoboKiller this year has accounted about 700 million student loan related robocalls per month. The volume of fraudulent texts spiked in August after the Biden administration announced its plan to forgive up to $20,000 in federal loan debt per borrower. Now, that was last August of 2022. Now, before the announcement, RoboKiller was counting between 2 million and 3 million student loan scam texts per month. Now, in August, which was last August, that monthly total rose to 9 million. So one of the government's newer ways to reach people is text messages. That's what Porter said. That would be why the increase is so great. Now, federal student aid does send texts to alert borrowers that sign up to receive them. Now, again, your information goes out there, they're going to send you text messages. They're going to send you emails. Even if you are approved to get regular loans and you get information in the mail, you don't want to continue to give your information out. You have to read documents. You have to look at your text messages. And if it's something suspicious, don't answer it. Same goes for emails. So you're not just receiving robocalls, text, and the emails are also going to come because they have your information. Now, listen, when it comes to student loan scams, they make up about 10% of all robocalls, according to RoboKiller's data. It's a top 5 topic for scammers, just behind the infamous extended car warranty scams that make up about 15 to 20% of all robocalls. So student loan scammers typically employ one of 2 strategies: the too good to be true offer or impersonation, or too good to be true often encourage potential victims to act fast and pay a fee to claim a stellar refinancing rate or complete loan forgiveness. Sometimes these offers come from legitimate companies that are pushing the boundaries of the Consumer Protection Act and sending robocalls and texts. Now, there are levels of shadiness to what they are offering. So basically, when you're robocalling people and offering them a great student loan financing rate, there's no fine print that you can send people over the phone. So there's certainly a gray area there. It might be a legitimate agency, but the offer itself might not be as good as it sounds. And impersonation scams have become popular since the Biden administration's announcement. So basically, scam callers will masquerade as the Department of Education or the department's loan servicers and encourage people to hand over personal identifying information or pay a fee to access the loan forgiveness program. And you can get advice on the right way to apply for loan forgiveness. Now, when it comes to RoboKiller, RoboKiller isn't able to track where the scams are coming from or how the scammers target which phone numbers to call. So basically, most scammers use caller ID, spoofing to mask their true phone number. Now, it is possible to somehow data about who has the student loans that could be falling into the wrong hands. Student loan numbers are large enough that it does seem like there is some chance involved where scammers are sending a lot of robocalls, hoping that they'll get someone who has student loans. Now, the Department of Education has warned borrowers about scammers' official messaging about student debt forgiveness. Now, in an automated debt relief application confirmation emails, the department tells borrowers to beware of scams and lists 3 official email addresses that borrowers may receive legitimate emails from. Now, the same message is posted on the studentaid.gov website. So you might be contacted by a company saying they will help you get loan discharge, forgiveness, cancellation, or debt relief for a fee. Here's the problem. You should never have to pay for help with your federal student aid. That's what the department says. And you have to make sure you work only with the United States Department of Education and legitimate loan servicers. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. This is the big key. Never reveal your account password, personal information to anyone. Now, a Reddit user that posted on RScams detailed a scam their partner fell in 2 months ago, and that scam asked for 4 $200 payments in return for partial loan forgiveness and a $10 per month repayment rate for the remainder of their loans. Another user described falling for a scam last September after they received a letter in the mail detailing their exact loan balance. So the user called the number listed in the letter, and on a 2-hour phone call, what happened? Something I always tell you not to do. They gave out their information, and their information was their social security number, bank account, and routing number. Now, just going to say this. Even the most tech-savvy people can fall for the increasingly sophisticated scam calls and texts. So anyone that does lose money or personal information through a scam, you definitely have to report it to the Federal Trade Commission, and you must work with your bank to recover losses. Now, sometimes phones, we all answer our phones. Doesn't matter whether you don't know any information or you do know information. People just answer the phone. And when it comes to student loans, it is up to the student to pay their student loans back. The problem with some of these forgiveness programs is they make a lot of promises they don't keep. Again, you know it's a scam when it sounds too good to be true, something that you ordinarily do not see. Now, again, I know many smart people who answer the phone. They may have done something with loans previously. You think that you can figure out what's a scam and what isn't, but you can really get caught in it. And it's very devastating, especially for those who are trying to pay off debt. Now, again, when it comes to student loans, that's something that you have to work out with the borrower. Now, one thing I can tell you, when you're in school, you can get deferments on your student loans, but you must be taking at least 6 credits. You still have to pay the loans back. Now, if you pay your loans while you're in school, you can lower your payments by decreasing that interest. And from a car to a house, anything that you have to pay monthly and you have a finance charge on, that's where these companies make their money. But when you give your information out, it's easy to get information about you these days because nothing is sacred. Too many of us are on our cell phones, we're on our computers. Many of us have given up privacy for the sake of so-called convenience. And you have more and more individuals who want to hustle and scam individuals. And basically, the people who get scammed are the naive people. So let me share my screen again. And let's go into scammers, how to use information to steal from you. Just bear with me as I share my screen. Let's go in here, share sound, and just bear with me. Here we go.
Could get up to $20,000 in debt erased. The U.S. Department of Education says that loan forgiveness could happen automatically, or you can soon apply on the agency's website. So why are people getting suspicious student loan calls offering help on debt cancellation? The I-Team found you may want to ignore those calls.
I'm just giving you a call in regards to your student loans. I do have you pre-qualified here for repayment options.
They are 2 similar voicemails.
Looks like for possible loan discharge or the forgiveness program, it is just imperative that we go over the details as soon as possible, just before your status expires. But I will keep it in a pending status for now.
Received by ABC 7 employees who may qualify for the student loan forgiveness program.
So it looks like for the forgiveness program, complete loan discharge or partial loan discharge, it is just imperative that we go over the details as soon as possible.
They left different callback numbers, but when I returned the calls, I was routed to the same call center with this greeting.
The Biden administration announced a debt forgiveness plan for all federal student loans.
You left a voicemail about student loan forgiveness, but why would I need your company? They hung up. Several other representatives also hung up the phone when I said I was a reporter with ABC 7 in Chicago. One representative agreed to be recorded. What I was wondering is, why do I need your services to qualify for the forgiveness?
The Department of Education offered these programs. They know that there are a lot of people out there trying to get qualified. It won't do the Department of Education any good if everybody goes to the Department of Education at the same time.
The representative said he could help people qualify for student loan forgiveness and make the process go faster. He also said he was offering a loan consolidation service for a fee. Remember, you don't need anyone's help to enter the government's forgiveness program. The U.S. Department of Education says you either qualify automatically or you file an application when the process opens up in the fall. In a general alert about all calls, the Federal Trade Commission says scammers are capitalizing on the popularity of the forgiveness program and that no third party can guarantee eligibility or help you speed up the process.
I knew that I was going to be subject to a $10,000 reduction in my student loans.
Illinois State grad Ethan Lesher says he figured out that he qualified for loan forgiveness after going to studentaid.gov, part of the U.S. Department of Education.
It'll help me a tad, but it'll be like a chip on a window. It's not a lot.
The consumer cybersecurity company Aura says if you get a call out of the blue, it's likely someone trying to get your personal information.
And of course, you'll be super excited. You want your $10,000. And in order to help you with that process, they'll ask for personal information, your bank account information, your social security number, your credit card numbers, and a whole bunch of other interesting stuff.
The Better Business Bureau also has reports of similar calls and voicemails, but it wants people to know they should ignore them. You can find out if you qualify for student loan forgiveness and get updates from the Department of Education by going to our website.
Hey, if you like that video, be sure to subscribe to our ABC7 Chicago YouTube channel.
Again, you have a lot of scams out there. And remember, biggest thing that you heard in that clip, information, information, information. So I'm going to say if something sounds too good to be true, it is not necessarily true. You know, one thing I will say about America, I served 17 years in the military for America. Yes, this is a great country. And if we didn't have a lot of scams, people like me wouldn't have a YouTube channel. Because there are a lot of scams, well, just doing scams, I do other material. But right now, you're seeing a lot of scams that are going on. I mean, Medicaid scams, financial aid scams, you name it, there's a scam for everything. But one thing that's common about all of these scams is information. And a number of us, without thinking, tend to give up our information. This is why we have to change our passwords to something difficult that hackers can't find out. And when it comes to financial aid is also a scam because, well, not when you sign a FAFSA form, but you have companies out here that are trying to ask you to pay them a fee. Now, this happened to me a while back when I was getting financial aid. Sounded too good to be true. Representative came over and said, well, we can get you some quick financial aid. But see, when I started throwing the hard questions at them, the conversation didn't go well, because the biggest question that I asked is, so basically, you're already telling me everything I know to get the financial aid, make myself look poor. Well, I already know that. That's through EFC, Estimate Family Contribution. But what the individual wanted me to do was pay him a $150 fee to fill out the FAFSA form for me. And I said, no way. And that's a big scam out there. You know, you have a number of individuals that go to college. This is why going to college, if you can't afford to go to a Harvard or an institution with a name, yes, I know reputation means everything to the elitist out there, but some of us can't afford $200,000-$300,000 every year to go to college. Again, if you want to keep from having no debt, and I should have done this a long time ago, go to a 2-year college. You can pay a lot of that out of your own pocket. They have payment plans. You only need 60 to 70 credits to graduate with an associate's degree. Then once you transfer over to a 4-year college, you can pay for 2 years out of your pocket. And if you're lucky, you can get a Pell Grant to try to alleviate all that. And what I'm saying is the best way to get through college without having to deal with student loan repayment, without having bad credit or loans that are defaulted, because what happens, students get desperate. So they're going to use one of these services that say they're going to help the student, but they don't. It's a big money grab. And the most vulnerable get taken each and every time. $5 billion. You think about that number. 5 billion. That's 5,9 zeros. That's a lot of money. And scams. Scams. And what I'm doing is I'm making you aware of what's going on. Because one thing about America, again, there are a lot of deceivers in this country. They will tell you anything to try to fill their pockets or any of their selfish needs or their greed. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money, nothing wrong with capitalism, but I have a problem with crony capitalism and being dishonest. And when it comes to kids coming out of school, taking advantage of anybody is not good. But when you are taking advantage of a student who was graduated from college and you're threatening their credit, that's a problem. Because these are individuals who are trying to get in the workplace. And basically, when it comes to college, unless you get into a computer field, you really don't get a return on your investment. And here's how I broke down the numbers. If I pay for 4 years, $200,000 to go to college just for 4 years, which would be $50,000 a year, and I come out with a degree, even in engineering, and they're only paying me $60,000. Did I get a good return on investment? No. I still lost money because for $60,000 after paying $200,000, I'm still $140,000 in debt. And where's all that debt coming from? Student loans. Now, had I known all the information that I know now, I would have had any student loans to pay back. And student loans can wreck up your credit. And scammers know it. And they're trying to seize a way to make money. So in the end, I'm just going to say this. When it comes to the student loan forgiveness, if it sounds too good to be true, start questioning it. And if you get something in the mail, don't take it. Because in the end, you're really hurting your future. Because you don't want to get out in the real world with bad credit, especially when you're trying to land your first job. So when it comes to student loan scams, I say this about every scam. Do not give up your information. Because once you do, once you give up all your information, you compromise yourself. And you will be used by these scammers out here. And now you have identity theft on your hands. And if you don't report it, your credit is ruined. And that's how these scammers are getting away with making the money. So when it comes to student loans, I will say this: read the fine print before you get a student loan. And if you can't afford to pay back the student loans, start looking at another alternative for education. And one is community college, two is military. Because when it comes to your future, it's going to be your choice. You want to go down the right road when you're young, because if you don't, it will come back to haunt you when you get older. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you are looking for some STEM content, check out my second channel, the QCIS channel. On that channel, I give you a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Now, if you can't find the 401 Talk Zone radio show channel or the QCIS channel on YouTube, check both of those channels out on Twitter, because after I pre-record my videos, I post them on my Twitter page. Now, for the QCIS channel, I take it one step further, since it is an educational channel. And also find that channel on my LinkedIn page, because in the end, be blessed for what you have. Don't worry about what you don't have. Always know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And if it doesn't apply, let it fly. But if the shoe fits, wear it. If you don't like the shoe, change it. And once again, thank you for listening to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. You all have a wonderful, gracious evening. God bless you. I'm out.